The fourth indictment of former President Donald Trump reads like an exercise at throwing everything at the jury to see what might actually stick to try to bring him down so he doesn't win again in 2024. Fani Willis, a Democratic district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, has assembled a 98-page charge sheet with 41 counts, 19 defendants, yet little evidence regarding Donald Trump. Is this election interference at the highest level? The big news, of course, is the district attorney's use of the state's Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organizations Act, or RICO, which they used to use against mob bosses. And according to many, inflating it to a RICO conspiracy makes the case simply less credible, not more. We have a lot to discuss. Let's bring in former acting U.S. Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Thank you so much, sir, and welcome to The Count.
Hi, Lydia.
So let's get real down to it. Harvard law professor, he was a law professor for 50 years, Alan Dershowitz. He picked apart the RICO charges on Eric Bolling. Take a look at what he said.
The indictment itself is awful. It's an act of creativity. It reads to me like an exam answer to a question in law school. How creative can we be? How much can we stretch the statute? We'll use RICO. Yeah, it was intended for organized crime, but we'll use it for a political campaign.
What do you make of that? I mean, does this kind of set a precedent that now no future candidate can dare question an election or the results? And we've seen that happen plenty of times before Donald Trump, for fear they could be put in jail, put behind bars for the rest of their life?
Yeah, and it's, good to be with you. I think that Professor Dershowitz is right. I think one of the main things is the creativity, a statute that certainly the legislature intended to use against mob bosses and most recently, gang leaders in violent street gangs is now being applied to really political speech. And that's the most concerning thing, is that, the acts that they lay out here include things like Mark Meadows making a phone call to get some people's numbers and, just so many other quote unquote overt acts that are benign on their face. And so, this is concerning on so many levels, but primarily the political speech and the political activities that this covers really is going to make other people question whether they can investigate claims of voting irregularities and not be charged with a giant RICO conspiracy.
I'm not an attorney, but the fact that they waited 2.5 years to bring forth these charges as he's the leading GOP frontrunner and in hypothetical head-to-head matches with President Biden, it's showing him tied, if not winning. Do you think that the American people realize what's going on here?
Yeah, I think they're starting to see the pattern of these creative prosecutors who are, mostly in deep blue districts that have political ambitions and believe that they are going to, save the republic from Donald Trump, and they're social justice warriors by and large. And, this is the concern is we now have a politicization of our criminal justice system where these prosecutors are using it to punish their political enemies. And I've been pointing this out wherever I possibly can. But at the same time, you have to remember, this is the new left. This is what they want to do. They want, on so many fronts, they try to, limit conservatives on their speech, whether it's on social media, whether it's in their political activities, and so many other places. They dox folks and they try to make it painful. And remember, the process in this case against Donald Trump is mostly the punishment. I mean, him having to prepare for 4 trials, him in the middle of a presidential campaign, is nothing like we've ever seen, and it's unprecedented in our country's history.
I remember distinctly when Hillary Clinton called him an illegitimate president. And then, of course, she just happened to be at MSNBC when the news broke of his 4th indictment. She was with Rachel Maddow, and clearly she was enjoying herself, laughing hysterically. I mean, take a look at this.
You can run the best campaign.
Very fancy meeting you here.
Oh, I
It's really
can't
nice to have you
believe
here.
this.
Yeah, this is not the circumstances in which I expected to be talking to you.
Nor me, Rachel. It's always good to talk to you, but honestly, I didn't think that it would be under these circumstances. Yet another set of indictments.
Ha, 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 ha. Clearly enjoying herself. I mean, it was a sad day for the American people. What do you make of her reaction?
Well, it's disappointing that they would be so pleased with this type of persecution of a former president and potentially most likely future president. So we look at this, and this is why we don't have statesmen and stateswomen anymore. We have just political partisans that our founding fathers were most concerned about. People like Hillary Clinton that are bitter about their loss and are going to get the most they possibly can.
Just here's a little reminder for our audience about Hillary Clinton's knack for election denial. Take a look.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president who got illegitimate foreign help.
Why do you think the president is going to such great lengths to essentially prove that he beat you?
Because he knows he didn't. He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The internet's a great thing. I've been seeing like 20 minutes worth of election denial from various Democratic candidates. Yet somehow, some way, they villainize Donald Trump. They want to put him behind bars for the rest of his life for doing what so many others have done before him. Matt Whitaker, we have less than a minute left. Do you think that he will come out of this unscathed?
Well, let's not forget, we're talking about Georgia right now. So let's remember Stacey Abrams and her famous, election denial of her result against Brian Kemp for governor in 2018. But that being said, Donald Trump is a fighter, and that's why the American people are attracted to him, because they not only will he fight, in these cases that are being brought against him by these left-wing prosecutors, but he's also going to fight for the American people. He says it, and I think a lot of people agree with him that it's not just him they're going after. Eventually, they're going to come after all of us that want our country to be restored to its foundation and its traditional values. So, as I sit here in Australia and trying to explain that to my friends, I can tell you, Lydia, that the world is looking for the United States to lead. They want Donald Trump to come back and finish the business that he started. And so it's going to be very interesting as we twist and turn through all these cases and this election as to how these things turn out. But, at the end of the day, I believe in the American people.
Thank you so much, Matt Whitaker, for being with us this evening. Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.